newer in terms of technology, and probably, unless someone could fund it, probably not as great about the digital divide issue, but very exciting on the using technology in the classroom in new and innovative ways issue. And how it works is basically, imagine, so augmented reality is when you augment your physical reality with something virtual. So imagine a virtual treasure hunt where your students are in class and they've got this mobile device, and they find out that the river has been polluted, and they need to figure out why. So they go around with this mobile device, and based on where they are physically, they get more data and more clues that help them solve this puzzle or gather data or do whatever the activity is that you want to do. So it's a very, it overlies it overlies virtual information onto your physical location, which is a very innovative and unique thing that mobile devices offer, because obviously you're not going to get up and explore your environment, whether you're outside or inside, with a desktop computer or something like that. So it's a really neat opportunity that mobile devices offer. The next opportunity, which I really love, because I think people oftentimes think, oh, technology in the classroom, or something like kids using mobile devices, it's a very solitary activity. The kids become overly engaged with the technology rather than being engaged with each other and the teacher. And I think that actually mobile devices, in some ways better than other technologies, have the opportunity to improve certain 21st social interactions, such as communication and collaboration. So I'm going to tell you about this one example called My Art Space, which is also, it has two names. It's also called OOKL. So if you Google OOKL, you'll find it. And this is a project that's rolling out across the UK. I don't think it's anywhere in the US yet, but I imagine it'll be coming here soon. And this is a project that's mainly based around encouraging communication and collaboration on field trips. So how it works is, imagine you took your class to a museum. Every student at the museum would be given a mobile device of some sort, and I think that someday that hopefully students will be able to do this with their own phones. But in the meantime, they're given some sort of phone and some sort of mobile device, not a phone. And as they go around the museum, they're encouraged to do two things. First of all, they're encouraged to collect objects, which is essentially anything that interests them. So if I see a picture that interests me, I'm encouraged to take a picture of it, or write a little note about it on my mobile device, or record a video of it, or in some way use my mobile device to collect that object as mine. Then I can also see what other people are doing, what other students have uploaded about that particular object. So I can see presentations other students who have been to this museum have put together about this particular piece of art. So it's a very, it encourages communication and collaboration among students who don't even know each other. Then one of the neatest things is all the data that I've gathered is uploaded onto a central source, a central website of some sort. And when students get back to the classroom, the teacher, there's lesson plans for the teacher to walk them through how to make their own piece of media about what interested them. So they can take their video and text and audio and pictures and everything and make some sort of presentation that if them and the teacher want to, that can then be uploaded back to the museum, so that when other students go by, they can see what students, they can see what other students can see what they created. And the idea of creating content is very powerful in today's day and age. User-generated content is essentially one of the greatest activities on the web and one of the most unique things that Web 2.0 technologies offer. And so it allows students opportunities to create their own content and share their content in a fun and exciting way is a really neat opportunity that mobile devices offer. The next opportunity is fit with learning environments, and this just lies in the fact that sometimes sometimes technology in the classroom can be very, most people don't have a one-to-one paradigm yet, where every student in the classroom has their own mobile device. So we all know how difficult it is to, get your students up, get them to the computer lab, have them start working on something, or, bring in the rolling cart into your room. Sometimes technology, it makes the lesson, sometimes it makes the lessons that use technology more about the computer or the device than about the actual lesson. And really, technology should be just another tool to teach whatever lesson it is you're teaching. So mobile devices in some ways can be a nice fit for that. Also, in informal learning outside of school, the idea of bringing in bridging the gap between what's going on in and out of school. So there's this really neat example from the UK called Learning to Go, that every student in the entire, I think it's been rolled out in over 5,000 students. Every student in the entire district has this mobile device, which, this picture, it was some sort of Palm 3, but I think now they're doing it on one of the kinds of iPhones, or iPods, I can't remember what. But the point is that every student in the district has a device. And so they had some funding from the government, but they also needed to get parents to commit to purchasing these devices because they didn't have enough. They didn't have enough funding to give them to every student. So how they could, and this is not a high-income community, it's lower to middle, and I would say more on the lower income side of things. And what they said to parents was that for less than the price of a case of beer a week, you can have your students have this device. So they got essentially 100% buy-in from the parents in the district, and the parents and the kids the parents couldn't afford to subsidize this. They got funding from the government. And so every student has these devices, and they're incorporated in every classroom. Like I said, they're just a tool. So when you think about what or when I, as a professional, think about what I use my laptop for, I use it for my work. I use it, I do work on it. I use it for my communications. I email friends, I email my colleagues. I use it for fun. I go on fun websites. I use it to read the news. I use it to social network. I go on Facebook. My laptop is just a tool for me to do all of these other things. So I don't think of it as something that's only related to my job or only related to my personal life. It's a very all-encompassing kind of tool. But when you think about traditionally how we've used mobile devices, you don't think of them at all as something, particularly for a child, you don't think of them as something that might actually be able to help them with their learning. You just sort of think about it as in many ways, negatively, almost as a distraction. And it's just how you use it. So one of the interesting things about this study is that students were much more likely to adhere to things like accessible use policies and to respect their device and to respect the rules around their device because they were able to take the device home and they felt this personal connection to it. So for me, I would be totally, have a major problem if my laptop got stolen, or if I left it somewhere, or if I used it in an inappropriate way and got it taken away from me. So students are treating these devices with much more respect because they take them home, they use them for fun, they use them for, they use them for their schoolwork, they just use them for everything. So this is a really neat example of sort of an all-encompassing device that students take to school and take home with them. Then the last opportunity I want to talk about, and then we'll have just under 10 minutes, I guess, to do a little bit more questions, is the ability to enable a personalized learning experience. So obviously, when you have a classroom full of students and you'd love to be able to give each student a personalized experience, that can be very difficult. So this is another project that was developed. It's a research project, so it's not available for rollout right now, but it was developed by Sesame Workshop, also the Sesame Street, the folks that we work with. Called Project iRead, and this was rolled out on iPod Touches, which are great devices if anyone's concerned about having the actual phone capability. iPod Touches are very powerful devices that don't have a phone. And how it works is that every student in the classroom got an iPod Touch, and they each took a DIBELS reading assessment, so a very standardized reading assessment that would identify things like, okay, so Carly took the assessment and she's having problems with silent E. That's her area of her literacy issue.